Detective Gable, please you take the stand. You're still under oath.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the defense may continue their cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yesterday, you testified concerning the...
Wait, 1 moment.
Oh, was that from yesterday? I have so many pairs. I probably need that. Thank you.
Yeah, they were left on the stand.
Oh, they are.
For the entire staff. We're always looking for another prayer.
Thank you. Reminded me to remind me. At some point, you were testifying concerning the arrest of Monica Sementilli and Robert Baker, correct? Remember that?
I remember we discussed that, yes.
Right, and you testified concerning the recordings that were made and that could not be made of their activity in the patrol car after they were arrested, correct?
Correct, I remember, yeah.
All right. And part of that was played, I think, while you were on the stand to the jury of the two defendants at that time, two arrestees that were in the car, and the as good a verbal recording as you could get, correct?
Correct.
And I think you also indicated that what was being shown on the screen was a visual of the two arrestees at that time in the police car, correct?
Yes, the latter portion of it, yes.
But that there was no synchronizing of the sound to what the jury was viewing on the screen.
Correct.
So what you were hearing was not necessarily the same time as what you saw on the screen, correct?
Not at all, yeah.
Okay. And when you say not at all, what do you mean? Not even close?
Not even close, because when the recording started, that recording, the video that you were seeing was far toward the end of the recording. So when the recording started, that video was never captured.
So do you know why the video was shown at all?
I don't know why they decided to show it.
Okay. But what was played to the jury were snippets or a truncated version of what you had recorded that day, correct?
I don't know. I just know that it was later in the incident. I don't know if that clip was truncated or edited.
So when you were following through, you don't know whether it stopped at certain points and then began at other, or whether it was all contiguous?
Correct, I don't know.
Okay.
Because I was actually just reading the transcript and just glancing up at that.
Okay. Your Honor, per prior agreement, we would like to play the entire period of time during which the recording was made that the jury heard parts of yesterday.
Would you like to have that marked as 616?
I assume you want to.
Okay. The recording marked as 616.
Okay.
CD, thank you. And the transcript is 617. Let me inquire as to the length of time. 43 minutes. Thank you. Now we'll take our morning. Yeah, Mr. Plas, be back in 15 minutes. At this time, you may hand off the transcript. People strike that. Defense 617. And the same admonition applies to this transcript as all transcripts. Yes, thank you.
It's really, really high.
Oh my God. All right, we'll turn it on right now. breathe. Can you not even know?
Oh, this is a good car. Was fixed. And showed the car. Showed the work we did on the car.
Can you give her attention? I can't breathe.
Hey guys.
Hello?
Hey guys.
No, I can't breathe. I need help.
Put your face forward.
It's all there. This binder's on my car. Oh yeah. This is just another thing in my life.
You should
Oh, I will. I will. This is ridiculous.
And then the deal itself, what the hell, man?
Forever 43, requesting clear frequency for Cont'd.
Unit
Unit stand by. Number 43, go ahead, number 1.
Forever 43, running right to Baker, Cont'd, first of Robert, Cont'd, address 6817, Commodore Park Railroad, ground 5747, EB is 050262, Kilometer number 1.
24, Edward 43, Roger. Go ahead on number 2.
43, right number 2, west of Sementilli, Sementilli, first of Monica, Cont'd, address 5012 Queen Victoria Road, over the hills, Kilo 1, Brown, 4, 425, EB 0110 CWQ, number 2.
24, Edward 43, 6 Charles indicated, identify the location.
Number 43, Roger Sugar 4, County, Oxford, and Winnipeg.
On that code 4 on the code 6 Charles. 24, Edward 43, Winnipeg, on number 1, Robert Baker. Number 2, Monica, Sonia, Sementilli, 14187, PC, first degree murder, on the murder of Fabio Sementilli. Contact Valley, Bureau Homicide Detective Marshall, heading rate 374-9550.
What the fuck?
What?
What the fuck?
Get me out of this car!
What the fuck? What the fuck, man? Hold on. Fuck, man.
What is going on?
What the fuck?
I have no idea what the fuck's going on there.
This shit's fucking crazy.
What is going on?
Ma'am,
Yes, I've heard everything. What is this?
there's a warrant for your arrest from
fucking people, man. What the fuck? What the fuck's going on? I don't know. Like, what the fuck? They don't. I hate these motherfuckers, man. They always fucking with people. That's why I don't like talking to these people. I don't like talking to them. I even told them. I even told them he's asking me simple questions, but I can't answer because they always make shit up. You? Fucking you? That's insane. That's fucking insane.
We may have additional on your first Cont'd subject, Ruse Perkins. Can you lift up the DOC one more time?
Roger, control standby. Okay, DOC is going to be 05-02-1962. Okay. Is also showing with a felony warrant covering 17G, first degree murder of fabulous Sementilli. Roger that. Thank you.
Is it coming now? Is it coming now? Can we leave it open a little?
Hang on just a minute.
I can't breathe.
get an attorney. Get an attorney. Immediately, okay? Get you an attorney. Don't say it.
43, can I have a unit for transportation respond to Orchwood at 1041?
That's what you want. Don't say shit to nobody. Get a lawyer immediately.
Unit for transportation, launch order when it has a 1.
Transport you both together, so we have another unit coming right now.
Okay.
Okay, and then we're going to call up to the veterans.
Okay, is the detective there?
I'll talk to him.
Okay, can you just, I can't breathe.
Okay,
Please.
just sit back, okay?
Is there any other information you can give me?
I don't know. That's it. Sorry.
Hey. Okay. There's no way out of this anytime soon. We should be saved up.
I can't do anything yet.
I don't know what the fuck they want, but this is fucking bullshit. This is crazy. This is fucking nuts.
Is that what it said? Please, can you come here? Help! Oh, God.
We can fix another.
Please help! I can't do it.
They're not gonna care. They're not gonna care.
Help me!
off with you now. Just keep your face on.
Crazy. So you don't see that?
Additional on Robert Baker. He is showing as a 290 registrant at a 6817 Independence, apartment 110, Canova Park.
That's why. And that's why I'm in this shit. This is why you're here. Because you're a friendship with me.
This is fucked up. I need to know what's going on right now. I can't breathe. I'm having a big problem back here. Help me. I can't breathe. Can you help me, please? I'm just throw up and bring in the air. Please, help me get some air.
I put on the street something.
Oh my God. Please. No, I need to stand up, please. I'm gonna throw up. Please, help me. Can you just stand with me?
positive.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very, very wrong here.
Got you some murder suspects. Hey, crazy day.
company. Come down here.
to reclaim you. This is not. How could you not tell us anything?
Transcripts, thank you. Just being retrieved. Mr. Levine may continue.
Thank you very much. Can I ask a quick question? Can I ask a quick question? I'm confused. No? Okay.
Detective Gable, you just, I'm sorry, you just listened along with everyone else to the tape recording of conversations as they were of Mr. Baker and Ms. Sementilli in the vehicle after the arrest, correct?
I did.
Okay. Now, there were certain portions of that transcript, or there were certain times when you simply could not hear what they were whispering. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you said, I believe yesterday, that your intent, well, let me ask you this. One of the primary purposes of arresting them together and putting them in that vehicle, shortly after you had informed Ms. Sementilli that she had been cleared of everything, was to see how she would react, correct?
Correct.
You already had enough evidence involving Mr. Baker that he had committed the murder in this case, just based on the DNA evidence.
I had enough evidence for both. I've already secured the Remy warrants.
Okay. So you secured arrest warrants, which means in your mind, and signed by a judge, there was probable cause to arrest both Ms. Sementilli and Mr. Baker.
Absolutely.
And you're aware that probable cause is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. You just have to have suspicion, strong suspicion, correct?
Probable cause.
I'm sorry?
Okay. And
That'll be sustained. The last is already in. It's triggered.
And the only reason you had not arrested both Mr. Baker and Ms. Sementilli before is you were hoping to get more evidence than you had already had, correct?
It's cumulative. Sustained.
So you put him in the vehicle, that's all staged, correct? The manner in which it was done.
The manner in which it was done, yes.
And you made sure that they were both arrested together, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And tell us again what efforts you made to be able to actually hear everything that was said in that vehicle, including parts where they might be whispering.
Sure. So what we did was we intended to put two, for lack of better terms, whisper recorders.
Can I interrupt you a second? You did put them in, right?
Well, we intended to put two, and only one went in.
Okay. Go on.
Okay. So we intended to put two in the back of the police vehicle. One in the backrest, and then one on the little wall in front of them where their mouths would be. And that's what was. And only at the end of the day, only one of them was put into the vehicle, and that one was inadvertently turned off instead of turned on.
All right. Let's go back. This was an event that you had planned for some time, correct?
Yes,
And had many officers involved, correct?
at various times.
Okay. And you could have arrested Ms. Sementilli and Mr. Baker at any time that day or thereafter, correct?
Well, the way I was working my case, I wasn't prepared to do it until that time.
Okay. But you had plenty of time to arrange for the vehicle they were going to be placed into to have the proper listening or hearing devices, correct?
Yes, we did.
Had they been tested before you arrested them?
We brought the technician out to turn the microphones on so that nothing would hopefully go wrong. And unfortunately, the technician messed up.
And messed up by not turning it on, or it didn't work, or what?
Well, since you asked, I'll explain.
I'm
So
sorry.
what happened was,
Please.
what happened was we had time. We took the black and white down to our TID technical division because they're the experts on all this stuff, and they're the people that we use to do all of our recordings. So we brought it down there, and we met with the technician and the technician's supervisor. The technician was very new on the job, but the supervisor was also there, and we explained in detail what we wanted, where we wanted the microphones, where we wanted the camera, and went over it thoroughly. There was like no doubt in our minds, and they were like, got it, Roger Dodger, no problem.
Could I interrupt you? How did you know? Had you done this before?
Set up microphones?
Yeah, where and
Oh,
how?
yeah.
Okay, go
I
on.
mean, throughout my career, I've done it many times.
Okay.
And we rely on their advice too. Like, I may say, I want a microphone here, and they may say, well, actually, it might work better over here. So it's
Well,
a
that's why I
collaborative
asked if you had done this before in a police vehicle with suspects in the back seat.
Yes.
And did that not inform you as to where to put the microphone?
Yes, I was just giving an example. It's a collaborative effort, but we
Okay.
told them where we wanted them. But they may say it's better a little to the left or to the right.
Can
So-
do you recall what happened on this day?
Yes, I recall that, and we told them exactly where we wanted them.
Okay.
The technician, new guy, supervisor, new supervisor, but seasoned, a very seasoned technician, got it. So of course, at that point, we rely on them, get the thumbs up to install them. They install them that evening. The next morning, Curtis picks up the black and white, and we instruct the technician to come out to the scene before we actually go do this traffic stop to actually physically turn on, they're called Eagles, to turn them on. Because when you turn them on, there's a little red light, but we didn't want the officers to be responsible for having them turned on or off. Because what they do is they turn them on, and since they're surreptitiously hidden, they turn it on, the red light comes on, then they put a little piece of electrical tape over the red light so that someone doesn't inadvertently see the recorder. Common practice. Again,
Done it
with that-
many times.
I'm sorry?
You've done it many times.
Many times. So the new guy, that evening, unbeknownst to us, takes it upon himself to take the Eagle apart, disengage the red light, and then put it back together. So then when he went out that day to turn it on, he didn't know what was on and what was off because there's nothing to indicate it's on. So it inadvertently turned off.
How'd you find that out?
Afterwards, when we went down to meet with him,
After you tried to play it back?
there was nothing to play back. Yeah, so what happens is, after the recording's done, the technician comes out, recovers the recorders, takes them back to the office, and then they download the information. So the next morning when we came in to go pick up the recordings, they said, we got bad news. Bad news is what I just explained to you. And that's how they explained it to us. And we said, oh, okay, well, that sucks, but what about the other recorder? How'd that one do? And they went, what recorder? What are you talking about? So it was a huge screw up. It was a huge screw up. And
But you never did a trial run with before they were put in the vehicle or before the whole arrest went down to see if anything was working. I take it.
no, not that thing.
Okay. And you didn't find out till afterwards that you were not able to obtain the results of whatever they were saying.
The next day.
And there was no way to listen in during the time as you were doing with the other conversations to hear what they were saying?
No, the only microphone that was live was the one on the front dashboard with the camera.
Right. So, unfortunately for everyone, no one knows now what was said between them in the whispering that was not picked up. Fair
Only
statement?
Monica and Rob.
Absolutely. Now, after that, your ruse continued, did it not, after they were arrested?
More detail.
Well, they were both placed under arrest for murder, correct?
Correct. That was not a ruse.
That was not a ruse, obviously. And they were still, they were placed apart, correct?
That's normal.
Yes. And as far as Ms. Sementilli was concerned, you or other officers under your direction continued to lie to her about what was going on, correct?
Regarding what?
Well, you told her that Mr. Baker had confessed to everything.
I don't remember saying that.
Do you remember any of your other officers saying that?
I don't recall that.
You don't?
No. I mean, you can refresh my memory. That's fine. But I
All
just
right,
don't
well,
recall.
perhaps after lunch. I'll just
Okay.
take the
Yeah.
time we have.
It's been 7 years, so I could miss that, but I don't recall enough. It's just saying that Baker confessed.
Did you prepare a police report of your arrest in this case?
Yes.
Okay, and documenting that some of the tapes did not work accurately, is that right?
I don't know if I put that in there because it's not necessary for an arrest report.
Did you put in the arrest report what you were able to overhear yourself?
As far as the Perkins, I may or may not have.
I'm talking about, I thought you were listening to contemporaneously to what you could hear.
I was. I may have, and I may not. I put enough in the arrest report to satisfy the probable cause.
Okay. Satisfy the grounds for the arrest.
Correct.
And then they were put in a cell, and did you have a plan at that point how to obtain even more evidence, if you could,
Yes.
as to Ms. Sementilli?
Yes.
Up to that point, you had nothing indicating, let me rephrase that, she had never indicated to you verbally or anyone else that she had participated in the murder of her husband. She has not confessed to that.
Verbally, she did not.
Okay. I know you believe other evidence shows that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But verbally, she had not. Correct?
Correct.
And it was still your goal, if possible, to get her to confess, correct?
I always try to gather evidence as long as possible.
Limited to this case, did you have a plan to attempt to continue to lie to her or a ruse in order to hopefully get her to confess?
Yes, there was a plan to continue the ruse while she was in the jail cell.
All right. And can you tell us briefly the first thing that was part of the plan?
I'm sorry?
Tell us what the plan was.
The plan is a very standard plan.
Just tell us in this case.
Okay. In this case, same as every other case. What we did is we, in this particular case, had a LASD sheriff, female, work in the undercover capacity, and she worked at our direction to sit in the cell and have a conversation with Monica. We gave her a general outline of the case so she would be aware of where the conversation was going and so she could pick up on cues that we were looking for.
You told her what you wanted her to obtain, if you could.
We just wanted her to talk about the case.
Well, did you tell her that you believed Miss Sementilli was having an affair with Mr. Baker?
Oh yeah, we told her that. That's the details of the case.
Okay.
We didn't tell her what to ask. We just gave her the details of the case.
Was she someone who had performed in this role before, if you know?
Oh yeah, she's very experienced.
as posing as a suspect in a cell in order to hopefully get a real suspect to talk.
She did it all the time.
Okay. Very experienced.
Very experienced at it, yes.
Were you listening to their conversation?
Yes.
So at times you were able to interrupt it or in some way speak to her about maybe you should try this, maybe you should try that, this is not working, anything like that?
No.
Did you talk to her at all during the entire period that she was in the cell with Monica Sementilli?
I don't believe I did. There is a possibility I could have, but my recollection is not at all.
But there were times while she was in the cell with Miss Sementilli that it was interrupted by an officer coming to the cell, correct?
At my direction, yes.
And at your direction, for what reason?
To stimulate conversation and to also get the passcode. So it was a combination of getting the passcode, but also mostly to stimulate conversation, to give the UC a reason to talk about something rather than bringing something out of the blue that she would never know.
Okay. And did you inform Miss Sementilli that Mr. Baker had in fact confessed to the murder and everything involving the murder, and confessed to her being involved, and you just wanted her to clear it up?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, no. The answer is no. I don't recall doing that, saying those words, or words to that effect. I don't remember saying that. So, no, I don't recall it. Like I said, you can refresh my memory, and if
Okay.
it happened, it happened.
Do you recall instructing, you had a partner with you that day or not?
I did, but he was, I was, yes. Short answer is yes. Long answer is, for that day, I partnered up with Detective Parshall. He was listening with me. And my partner, Barry Tellis, was handling Baker's Perkins operation. They were happening at the same time.
Okay, so there were two Perkins operations going on.
Correct.
Okay, let's limit this to Miss Sementilli's.
Okay.
Was there any instruction on your part to have someone, some officer, Parshall or someone else, go to the cell and inform Miss Sementilli that Mr. Baker had confessed, they knew everything about what happened, and they just needed her to clear it up?
I remember Parshall going, by listening yesterday, Parshall went up and said that there was no doubt it was you. I'm sorry, there was no doubt it was Baker. But I don't remember the word saying that he confessed. He may have, but I don't remember it.
He may have said that.
He may have, but I don't recall. I don't remember hearing it yesterday.
Okay. And again, all this is designed as part of the ruse to get Miss Sementilli to confess if you can.
It's to gather information.
Okay. So how long was Miss Sementilli in the cell with this, you said trained deputies?
I didn't say trained. I said experience.
And when you say experience, does that mean that she had acted as a Perkins officer in the past?
Yes.
You know how many times?
No. Numerous. She was
Very
numerous times.
successfully, too, I might add. Right?
I don't know.
Okay.
That I don't know.
Well, you used her again because you thought she was effective, correct?
I used her again?
Well, did you use her in the past?
No.
How'd you know she was experienced and had done this before?
Okay. So my partner is very good friends with LSD Homicide and all the people there. So he, through his contacts in LSD Homicide, heard that they use her often and that she's very good. So through my partner's contacts, we reached out to her, and she looked physically good for the part, and we heard her experience was good, so we used her.
And what was the part that she looked good for?
Cellmate.
Okay. Pretending to be someone else who's been arrested on some other crime.
Yes.
And when you said she was good, does that mean that she had secured confessions in the past?
I don't know the deep.
Sustained.
All right. So you heard yesterday, I believe, we played the Perkins tape recording.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And I take it, unlike with the car, it accurately picked up everything that was said, as far as you know, between the Perkins officer and Miss Sementilli, correct?
It sounded like it did, yes.
Okay. And at the end, Miss Sementilli indicates that she had an affair with Mr. Baker, correct?
Yes, he said words to the effect that he was, her everything and
Okay.
confidant and all that stuff.
And talked about cheating on her husband, but that he's still a wonderful man and amazing, and she loved him and so forth.
I
correct?
remember that.
But at no time during that entire How long was it? A few hours?
I guess 2 hours or so, somewhere in there.
Did she ever indicate that she had participated in the murder of Fabio Sementilli? Did she ever say that?
No.
Is this a good time to break down?
Very good. We'll be in recess until 1:30. The admission applies. Have a good lunch. I'll see you at 1:30.
The Perkins, recording of the two defendants, or Miss Sementilli and later defendant, now someone who's pled, Robert Baker, were in the car, and we heard what we could hear in the recording that did come through, and the jury had a transcript of that recording. Remember that? You followed through with it?
I'm sorry.
You followed along with the playing of the tape yesterday, and then we played a longer portion today. You remember
Yes,
that?
yes.
Okay. Referring to page 3 of the transcript that was played actually both days, do you recall Mr. Baker saying, yeah, it's fucking insane, and then Ms. Sementilli saying, someone is doing this to me, to us. You remember that?
I recall that, yes.
Okay. Then, a few lines later, maybe 10 lines later, do you recall Ms. Sementilli saying, somebody did this, and then somebody talked? You remember that?
Yes, it was words like somebody did this, somebody talked. I remember hearing that, yes.
And what I wanted to clear up is, in the portion that was played yesterday, if the prosecution played it, the transcript said somebody did this, somebody talked. The portion that was played today, which was the longer portion, but included that, said somebody did this, somebody, and then undecipherable.
I remember seeing that when I was
Okay.
listening, yes.
Now, having listened to that, again, the defense, and you're being familiar with it, it's clear that it was somebody did this, somebody talked.
Yes.
Okay, right. But you do not know, obviously, whether what she was referring to could very well have been somebody talked about the affair, somebody exposed it, right? You don't know if she
Well, in
meant
the
that.
context of what's going on, I would say no.
Okay, well, I understand your context.
Since you're asking my opinion, yeah.
No, I'm just asking. You don't know for sure what she meant. You have your own opinion.
I have an opinion based on the context of what was going on.
Of course. And the final opinion will not be ours, but the jury's.
Sure, exactly.
But you don't know if she was talking about somebody told about our affair. You don't know that. Correct? One way or the other.
My opinion stands that I
Okay.
believe it was, yes.
Fair enough. Just wanted to be fair about what was actually on
Certainly.
the tape recording. Okay.
Yes.
Let me return to one other thing that we talked about today, which also involved a tape recording, and that has to do with the Perkins individual who was in the cell with Monica Sementilli. You remember that, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And I indicated to you that it appeared that somebody had indicated to Ms. Sementilli that Mr. Baker had confessed. Remember that?
Correct.
Let me refer to and you didn't recall an officer actually saying that to Ms. Sementilli, and then I followed that up with she never confessed to being part of the murder at all. Remember that sequence we were talking about?
I remember talking about that.
Okay. In looking at the Perkins transcript, the D on it is detective, right?
I believe so.
Partial and or Gable, it says on the
Okay.
right. Do you know whether it was you or Detective Partial who said to Ms. Sementilli, and I just want you, this is on page 33 for the benefit of the prosecution and or the court, and I just want you to,
I'm sorry, for exhibit number, are you talking?
it's exhibit 181. it starts out with Detective, maybe you can remember if it was you or Detective
Sure.
Marshall, saying, listen to me, Monica, you and Rob were arrested today, and I want you to understand. She says, this is, and then you interrupt, listen to me. There's a third person that's involved in this, and that person's not here. That person wasn't arrested, and there's a reason for that. She says, why? You say, okay, well, think about that. I'll be back. I'm going to get my partner. She says, why? Who's the third person? Oh, my God. There was all his blood in there. This can't be. Oh, my God, this can't be. And then the Perkins undercover woman says, so I guess he is your boyfriend, huh? And then she says, we do things together, but I don't have a boyfriend. That was intended to imply to her that someone had already talked and somebody had confessed and incriminated her. Isn't that right?
Well, she could take it whatever way she wants.
But this was intentionally said by you.
It was implied. If you, yes, it
Right.
was.
Someone had talked, and this is your chance to tell us what really happened in your mind, correct?
Correct.
And at no time then after that did she say or confess to saying she was part of the murder or the planning or anything like that. She never said that, right?
No.
Okay. Let me go back, if I could. Well, let me ask you this. During the course of the investigation, did you ever recover the murder weapon?
No.
And what efforts did you make to try to locate? By murder weapon, we're talking about the knife or knives that was used in the stabbing death and murder of Fabio Sementilli?
Correct.
And what efforts did you make to try to find that knife?
Every search warrant that we conducted, one of the, or two, whatever, knives were part of the search of any potential knives that could have been used as a weapon. All the search warrants we conducted on physical locations. Part of the order was to, or directive, was to search for any knives, sharp-edged objects that could have been used as the weapon.
And you were unable to find that, correct?
Correct.
Did you attend the autopsy of Fabio Sementilli?
No, that was Valley Bureau homicide.
Okay. And have you read the autopsy report?
7 years ago, yes.
Okay. And it does describe the type of weapon or knife that was used according to the coroner based on his examination of the wounds and so forth,
I
correct?
don't recall that part. I just remember fairly good the amount of wounds, but I don't remember the description of the possible description of the knife.
Okay. But the point is, you never, and as far as you know, none of the officers or detectives actually located a weapon that matched anything that was in the coroner's report.
None.
That's why you said the murder weapon has never been recovered to this day, as far as you know.
To this day, as far as I
Okay.
know, yes.
All right. Let me then turn to one of the things I believe you testified to yesterday. And I'm referring to your testimony about, well, first of all, how many times did you yourself ask Monica Sementilli to describe or to tell you the route she took, as best you could recall, to Ralph's and Target to Ralph's home? How many times did you ask her to recall that or restate that to you?
3 times.
Was that all in the same interview?
Yes, it's the only time I interviewed her regarding this.
And you're aware that prior to your coming in on the case, there had been other interviews that predated yours, correct?
Other interviews, but I don't know the specifics of the interview.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. When you came in on the case, it was, what, 6 weeks or so, or how many weeks after the actual murder?
January 23rd, February, yeah, 5 weeks.
Okay.
Just about, yeah.
And you knew there had been previous, obviously, an investigation that predated yours, correct?
Correct.
And who was in charge of that? Detective Parshall and Verna, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And you're aware that Monica Sementilli was questioned, the evening of the murder or the next day? What was your recall?
Yes, it was, could have been the evening. I think it was that evening. Could have been the next day. But
And
yes.
that interview was tape recorded
I believe so.
and transcribed.
I don't know if it was transcribed. I remember reading their notes about the interview, but I don't remember if it was transcribed.
Did you? I'm sorry.
I don't think I've ever seen the transcribed version of it.
Well, did you ever listen to the video of the interview of the person who later became one of your prime suspects?
I read their statement on it, and I was briefed on it by Parshall and Vernon.
Okay, and did they tell you that they had requested that Miss Sementilli describe to them the route she had taken the day before or that day?
I don't recall.
All right.
They probably did, but I don't recall. What if they did? I don't remember what the route was.
Okay, and do you know between that date, which was January 23rd, 2017, or the 24th, and the time that you interviewed her, which was in May, is that right?
May, yes,
May 17th?
something 18th or 17th. Yeah.
Had she been asked any times in between, to your knowledge, to recreate the path that she had taken from her home to the gym or the home to the Target to Ralph's back home? Did you?
Not to my knowledge.
But you didn't review any of the interviews of her prior to other than yours, isn't that correct?
No, I told you I reviewed their interviews
Okay.
when we first got the case, and I spoke to them.
And what was her description of the route she had taken to Target and Ralph's and back home?
I don't recall, but if you have something to show me, I can refresh my memory.
No, I'm just asking you if you knew what her...
I probably knew at the time, but it's been 7 years. I don't remember.
All right. So now, flash forward, we're talking about May, which is 4 months later after the incident. Is that right?
That sounds right. Yes.
Okay. And you once again asked her to recreate the path that she had taken from her home to Target to Ralph's and back home. Is that correct?
Well, not once again. It was the first time I ever asked her.
First
Yes.
time you had.
Yes.
And she did that, correct?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And what did she describe to you? Do you recall that?
She did a lot of descriptions, but you'd have to narrow it down.
Well, did she tell you the route she took from home to the Target?
Yes.
All right. And what was that?
You have to pull the map up, and I'll tell you.
Okay, you don't recall that.
In general, if general's fine, I'll tell you.
All right. And then
She drove out of her neighborhood to Ventura Boulevard, took the left, went down to Target and turned into Target, stayed driving to the right, and then parked in front of the store.
Okay. And then at some point she went into the Target, correct?
At some point, she did.
And then she left, correct?
She did.
Now, where did she tell you she parked in the Target parking lot when she entered?
She told me the area she parked, which was near the front of the store, center parking lot.
Okay. And you had seen a video, or you had access to a video of the parking lot from Target, correct?
Correct.
The one thing you did not have was the video from Payless, which would have shown you the view right in front of Payless store, correct?
Well, Payless, it turns out, didn't have an exterior camera, so that would have never occurred.
All right, I'm sorry.
But the other camera, which is adjacent to Payless, yes, that camera would have showed us who got in the car, correct?
Okay. And by the time you got on the case, that video had been destroyed or taped over,
Auto-deleted, yes.
right? Mm-hmm. Do you know why, since the murder was discovered the actual day that it occurred, why no one in your department or LAPD had gone out and gotten the video from whatever stores were in the neighborhood to see exactly what happened in that lot?
Well, they did. They went out and they got the parking lot video of the Target.
But they didn't go to the stores around it and get the one you're talking about.
No, because at the time she just said she went to Target and did shopping. So typically, that parking lot video would have been perfectly fine to corroborate her statement.
I see. Well, then why did you have her recreate that 4 months later?
Because I wanted to see if she was going to offer me information as to who got in her car that day.
Okay. So let's turn to that.
Okay.
It's your testimony that from looking at the Target parking lot video, that you could tell that somebody had walked by and got in her car.
You can see someone walk around from the Payless. You can see the image cross the front bumper. You can see the door opened and close and then drive away, and then that pedestrian's gone. So that part you have to assume they got in the car.
Okay, and in fact, in your testimony a couple of days later, I believe you said you can actually see it, sometimes even better at normal view. It's not super easy, but you can tell someone got in the car, and that's all you can tell. And that's what we wanted to get the video to see, what was going on there. Remember testifying to that?
Yes.
Okay. And that was from the Target, your view of the Target parking lot video, correct?
Correct.
Now, you also testified that you had prepared a Ramey warrant. I believe the date is June the 12th of 2017, in order to get a warrant to arrest both Mr. Baker and Ms. Sementilli, correct?
Yes,
And you were the affiant on that Ramey warrant, correct?
that is correct.
That means that you prepared it,
Yes.
and you swore under penalty of perjury that it was true,
Yes.
what you put in there, correct?
Yes.
All right. Do you recall on in that Ramey warrant describing 1530 hours, which would be 3:30 in the afternoon? Is that right?
Yes.
Monica's F-150 stopped on the main parking lot for approximately 15 seconds. Is that correct?
Stopped in the main parking lot?
Main parking lot load for approximately 15 seconds.
Correct.
It was difficult to see clearly due to the far distance from Target's surveillance camera. However, during Monica's 15-second stop, detectives could see a pedestrian walk from the exterior front of the Payless shoe store toward Monica's F-130. Remember saying that in your Ramey warrant?
I don't remember. You're reading it, so yes, it makes sense.
Would it refresh your memory if I showed it to you? Okay. This is on page 23 and 33 of the Ramey warrant issued in June of 2007. And I highlighted it. You can just read it to yourself and sure. Let me know when you're done. And does that refresh your memory as to what you wrote in the Ramey warrant?
Yes.
Okay. And did you indicate in that a pedestrian appeared to walk around the front of her 150, then Monica drove off? After that point, that detectives could not locate the pedestrian.
Yes.
And was that true?
Yes, that's true.
So is it fair to say that you could not tell or see if a pedestrian had in fact gotten into the car in any way? All you could tell that someone walked around the car and then you could not locate him.
Well, you can see the door open, and it appears you can see it close. So the logical conclusion is they got it. So that was my conclusion.
So in other words, in the Ramey warrant, you wrote in what your logical conclusion was, as opposed to under penalty of perjury what the facts were.
No, that was my belief what happened, and that's ultimately my conclusion was that the person got in the car.
Why didn't you say that in your Ramey warrant?
I did say that. It's just the way I wrote it that day.
I see. So again, you wrote a pedestrian appeared to walk around the front of her 150.
Right.
Then Monica drove off. After that point, detectives could not locate the pedestrian.
Okay, so I left out the door.
You left out the
So
door,
there's less detail.
and you don't say in here anything about your conclusion or it appeared or anything.
Well, then I didn't conclude it, but that's what I saw, was what I did. The only part I left out was I saw the door open.
The only
So
part
there's less information, not more.
the only part you left out is the part that led you to believe you say that someone got in.
Yeah, because he wasn't there anymore.
Truth is, you never saw that door open on the video, did you?
I did see the door open. We can play it.
Thank you.
And this is just following up on some questions that you were asked. Defense counsel were asking you about the defendant and Rob Baker, if they ever, and getting one to flip on another one or something of that nature, right?
I'm sorry.
The defense asked you questions about when you arrested Monica Sementilli and Rob Baker, like the goal could be where you get one of them to flip or turn or implicate the other one, right?
He mentioned that, yes.
Right.
Yes.
He mentioned that to you.
Yes, he did.
That could be something that could happen.
Correct.
Now, did that ever happen? Did either one of them ever give up the other person's involvement?
No.
And then just to clarify, when you first came on the case, and the defense was asking you that the defendant was a suspect, that's why she was being followed and things of that nature, correct?
Yes.
Now, you gathered more evidence as you went along, which, as you testify, was part of the delay in arrest on anybody, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, at some point, did you request, prior to her arrest, did you request the defendant's Microsoft records or her emails, things of that nature, in order to gain more intel on the defendant?
Yes.
What did you do?
I wrote a search warrant for her Microsoft, IG accounts, Google, and I think a few others.
When you say IG, is that Instagram?
Instagram.
Now, the Microsoft, what does that give you? What did you receive in return?
That's her email. I'm sorry, email account, the Calmati Mo.
As you're requesting these through warrants, did you ever notify the defendant that you're subpoenaing her records for her emails and her Instagram and her Facebook?
No.
Around what time frame was that when you requested that?
April 2017, I believe.
Now, did you get records back in a timely fashion before her arrest?
Before her arrest, it was circa. So it was either just before or just after, somewhere in there, I think.
And what I'm getting at is, were you able to see her emails before she was arrested?
I believe the warrants came in just after the arrest, so no.
Okay. As far as knowing that she had a surveillance system at her home, how did you discover that?
Well, from the cameras, and the fact that the DVR somehow was found and stolen from the house, and the way she was looking at the screen, leaving the store, and streaming in very high amounts of data consistent with the surveillance video.
Okay, and so when you were able to actually get into the email, was it you that found that there was some deleted emails?
Yeah, I went straight to the trash file, and there was 4 emails in there.
And those 4 emails are the emails that gave her the instructions how to access her IDMSS Lite surveillance system through that app.
At least one of them was, yes, one of the 4. Mm-hmm.
And another one was one that was forwarded to Robert Baker, giving him the instructions how to log on to her home surveillance.
Correct.
It is. It's the same.
Thank you. And then, again, you waited until June 14th. I know some questions were being asked. Why it was June 14th as the point when you finally decided to arrest the defendant and Rob Baker? Can you explain then why at that point the determination was made to make an arrest?
Sure, yeah. So by that time frame, we had received all the information, or it was in...
It's done some cross-examination as to why there was not arrest already. Overruled.
We were at the end point of gathering all the information, initial information that we had requested. We had already reviewed quite a bit of stuff. We had been surveilling them for several months. And like I told you the other day, I'm pretty good about finding people. And in my normal investigation, it became, unfortunately, pretty obvious that we weren't going to find this third person anytime soon. And so then we had to weigh arresting them, because the longer you wait, the more chances there's destruction of evidence. You know, they'll get rid of phones, change phones, they'll delete apps, all kinds of things. So we had to weigh that versus trying to find the third person. And we thought best to just pull the trigger and do it.
Defense also asked you about the fact that when you came on March 7th, I think he used the terms that the defendant was targeted at that point, and you had a response to that. But she was a person of interest, that she was involved in the murder as of when you came on March 7th, 2017.
Yes, you are.
And you testified it wasn't just based on the fact that you knew from surveillance that she was having relations with Rod Baker. Is that right?
Correct.
Was there other evidence that led you to believe that the defendant at that time was involved based on the crime scene?
Yes, actually, it was actually a very important piece of evidence. The DVR, which was taken during that very short time frame to do this murder, was in a location in the garage that was about a 7 or 8 foot cabinet, and the DVR was high atop this cabinet. We knew that the suspects left through the garage to the kitchen door into the garage. So if you walk out the door heading toward the Porsche, which is what you're going to take to leave, it seemed very unlikely that you would look around and look way up here and see a DVR in a garage.
Detective, 1 second.
So it seemed...
Detective, stop, I'm talking. Sustain.
Okay. So based on the DVR, without the very elaborate description, based on the DVR, the location, was that obscure to you for as far as where a DVR would be located?
It was obscure enough for me to suspect that the murderer had inside information before they went into the location to where it was.
Well, it explains the mindset at the time. Give us further evidence.
During your history of investigating crimes, whatever they may be, have you come across homes that contain DVR systems? So was there any other evidence that led you to direct your attention at the defendant?
Yes, well, they learned, the OVB learned that Baker had previously been at the house and slept the night there. So
It is, although I understand that you're asking what evidence is, you think have his mind, it is cumulative. Sustained.
Okay. Without going through everything again, then, it wasn't just the fact that she was having an affair with Mr. Baker or Rod Baker. There was evidence from the crime scene and other evidence you took into account in order to focus some attention on the defendant. Is that fair?
yes.
Okay. During the overhear that we saw and heard from the police car, and defense played a longer version, the prosecution played a version, we hear a lot of gasping, I can't breathe. You were able to visualize this vehicle, is that correct?
Yes, I watched it live.
Okay, were there windows, doors open, anything that you know to be the fact of the case of the car that she was seated within?
The dividing window door from the front passenger to the back was opened, and I believe Officer Davis cracked the side window for her.
Sustained.
Did you see any of the windows cracked or open?
I don't recall.
Okay. Now, and then finally, I know you guys like that word finally, but defense counsel asked you about, and said he would come back to it, the topic of Baker confessing to everything, that you telling Monica that. Upon refreshing any recollection, did you ever tell the defendant that Baker confessed to everything during this Perkins operation?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Detective Gable, I mind putting up Exhibit 7, page 14 of the case, People Exhibit. And can you see the cabinet and where the DVR, in fact, it looks like a black box, where it was located the night of the murder?
Yes.
Can you point that out, please? Whatever you got there.
Up here.
And can you show us where the door was from the kitchen to the garage?
Yes.
And can you show us, if you know, where the fuse box was?
I'd be guessing, but I think I know where it is. You want me to?
Isn't it right next to the?
I think it's there.
Okay. And it's true, is it not, that officers who arrived at the scene and were conducting the investigation long before you got involved located the fuse box, and that a lot of the fuses have been tampered with to stop the electricity?
Yes.
Okay. So those two items are located as they are in the photograph, right next to the garage door, correct?
Yes. The only difference. When was this photo taken?
The reason it was taken during the investigation, so I'm hoping it was on the day or 2 or 3 after the murder.
Because I don't know what this is, but that's not the DVR then. If it's because
it's the exhibit introduced by the prosecution, so I can't tell you exactly.
Is it up to you, Jimmy? The first one? Can you see that better now?
I see a black figure, but if that's the day of the investigation, there's no DVR there.
As I told you, it's a crime scene photograph taken the night of the murder. Would that refresh your memory?
Yes, if so, because, if I may, Monica did describe the new DVR they got, and she described it as a very low, sleek, very small DVR. So it would have been very difficult to see on top of this camera. Nothing.
Well, my question was, do you know what that item is that was taken the
That's
night?
what I was asking you. It's the DVR's gone, so we don't know what that is.
Okay.
It could be anything.
Why don't you ask me what I think happened in the case, and I can tell you that too.
Go ahead.
My only question is, knowing that that photograph was taken the night of the murder by detectives and officers from LAPD, does that refresh your memory as to what it is or what it was on that night?
Not at all.
Okay. But that is the location where you were told the DVR was.
That's the location where the very thin, sleek, small DVR was, yes.
Okay. And you're going by the description of Miss Sementilli.
Correct.
Whose veracity you swear by, right?
Objection.
I'll withdraw it. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
The DVR, as you can see, was right above the cabinet, correct?
That was the area, yes, sir.
And the Porsche was parked right next to it, correct?
The Porsche was if you zoom in, please.
Okay. I'll have my trusty associate do that.
Yes, right in this area, as you walk out, it would be directly in front of you.
So you could see from the Porsche, you could see the DVR from the Porsche, correct?
You can see the DV.
Do you know which direction the Porsche was facing, at his front end, front out?
I do not know. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay. But whatever it was parked right next to the cabinet where the DVR was. You know that, correct?
It was parked in the garage, yes.
Okay. But that scene shows the entire garage, does it not, as far as you know?
It shows the area where they parked the Porsche. I forget how much is to the right.
Okay. Were you ever out in the garage?
Yes, sir.
Okay. two Perkins video and recordings we played for you were, I think one was 20 minutes, one was about 30 or 40 minutes. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right, sir, yeah.
How long was Miss Sementilli in that vehicle after the arrest before she was removed?
Oh, yeah, good question. After looking at it, I would say 25 minutes, maybe 20 minutes.
She was not in the vehicle during the whole time that the recording was made?
Oh, well, yeah, so how long was that, 43 minutes?
About?
Okay, so 43 minutes or so.
That was the entire length of the time that she was in the...
I believe the recording ended when they took her out of the vehicle.
So she just informed me, I said Perkins, forget about Perkins. We're talking about the arrest of Monica Sementilli and Robert Baker.
That's what I thought we were referring to,
Okay,
yes.
and that was all planned out. They were arrested, they were taken someplace, and they were left in the car so that you could hopefully listen to what they were saying in the car, correct?
Well, they weren't left in the car, so we had to wait for tow, and we had to wait for an additional unit to transport a female.
But during that time, they were in the car.
They were detained, yes, they were.
Yes, of course.
It's normal procedure.
Okay, fine. And I'm just asking what
Yes.
the total length of time was that they were in the car from the time of the arrest until the time they were finally taken out and taken into the police station.
I would say within several minutes, the length of the recording.
Okay. And during that time, there was a space between the front seat and the back seat, you said, correct?
A space?
Well, an opening or something that you said?
Oh, yes, there's a sliding window.
Okay. But that's still in the interior of the vehicle, right?
It is.
And the only other space was the little top portion of the right and left front windows, correct?
And plus the air conditioning vents that go through that window from the front.
So the car was left on with the air conditioning on,
Absolutely. We always do that.
all right? And were you in the car at all?
No, but that's normal procedure. We know the back of those cars are built for safety, not comfort. So typically officers leave that window open so that the AC can blow back on them.
So, again, they are there for safety, not for comfort.
They were built for safety and security.
Right.
Security, I'm sorry.
Not for comfort.
Yes.
And also to hear anything that could be heard if it's taped, correct?
To a degree, that as you can see, the normal recording we got is not very good. So they're not wired like we wired it.
And the way you wired it didn't work.
Didn't work at all.
How long was Monica Sementilli in the cell during the Perkins ruse, shall we say?
I would estimate 2 hours, approximately, during the actual operation.
Well, how long was she in the cell with the Perkins operating?
Correct, that's what we thought you were asking. I'm guesstimating because it's been a while, but I would say 2.5 hours maybe.
And how long was she in the cell by herself or with the Perkins operator total?
After that, the jail people do what they do.
About
you know,
7
booking
hours,
and stuff.
wasn't it? About 7 hours?
I don't know how long she was in the cell. When we were done with the Perkins, we left, and the jail people become responsible for them.
How long was she in the cell before the Perkins operation started?
A second, because the operator was in there first, I believe.
So
as
you
soon as she walked in, the Perkins began.
So before she was even arrested, you had already decided to place an operator in the cell with her to try and gain whatever information that person could gain, pretending to be a suspect, correct?
Sure, it was pre-planned. But in this situation, sometimes it just depends. If Perkins is very wide, you totally think outside the box. It depends on the situation.
I just
the
want to
person.
know what happened in this case.
So in this case, I don't recall, sometimes we put the Perkins operator in first and then introduce the person arrested. Sometimes we put the person arrested in first and then introduce the Perkins operator. I'm not sure which way it went in this one, I don't recall.
But the goal remains the same. The Perkins operator is to try to convince the suspect, if she is guilty, to confess at least to her or say incriminating things that you can use against her in a court of law. Isn't that
Not at
right?
all. No, that's totally mischaracterized what they do. They don't try to convince anyone about anything. And as you heard, very normal conversation. And there was nothing convincing, nothing coercing. She's just carrying the conversation. Every once in a while, she drifts it back to the case. And that's what a good Perkins operator does. And many times you don't get a confession. Even as good as a Perkins operator is, it doesn't matter. A person's either going to talk or they're not going to talk. At best, you might get little bits, little admissions here and there.
I think you've answered the
Oftentimes you get
question,
nothing.
officer. I
I'm
think you've
sorry.
answered the question.
Thank you. Sorry.
The Perkins operator did say things like making a deal. Others are making a deal. Maybe you should make a deal. They say things like that, don't they?
In general, they might, but I don't remember her saying that.
Okay, so we've listened to the Perkins thing, and you're saying that she was just there to listen and talk. That's all, not to try to convince the defendant to say anything.
She's not trying to convince her. She's trying to engage in conversation that will keep the topic on the case.
What if I told you that the records show that Monica Sementilli was put in the cell at 2:30 p.m. The Perkins operator, you said, was in the cell at the time, and
Well, I said I wasn't sure.
okay, and the Perkins agent was removed at 11 p.m. Does that sound right?
I don't recall the times.
That's your memory?
No, it's not my memory. I don't recall. I just don't.
Anything further on this?
The car, we heard in the transcript, I mean, the very beginning, the defense transcript, like, they put the air on for it, right?
I don't remember if they said that or not.
Okay, look at the transcript. This is page 7 of defense's transcript, lines 6 through 9.
Yes.
Okay, so the air is on.
There's on according to him all the way.
Okay. And we were talking about a window, my bad, my mistake. When I'm talking about the window, we were talking about the window that divides the front and the back seat.
Correct, the one that everyone saw when they were sticking their head through.
Correct. There is when we listen to the defense transcripts, we don't have a video. There's long pauses, substantial long pauses, various places. Were you watching it live during those long pauses?
Yes.
And when you listened to the audio that the defense played and you heard those long pauses, do you recall what was happening during those long pauses? What sounds like nothing's going on?
Yes. The majority of the time, from the time that they were informed that they had warrants for murder, in the beginning, let's say the whole thing was 43 minutes, let's say the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most, I'd say, after they were informed that they were arrested for murder, with those long pauses, their heads were down, you could only see the forehead, the top of their heads, and they were in there, and then you could hear whispering, talking face to face.
Okay, and that happened continually then? That's the first part. What about the other pauses as the transcripts went on, or the audio went on?
There was periodic times, but it was less and less.
Okay. Just some terms that you used, if we can clarify for the jury, you used the undercover operation, you used the term UC a couple times.
Oh, okay.
What does that stand for?
UC is for undercover agent or officer, depending on, it can be undercover civilian, we're using an undercover police officer.
And then you also interchanged it a couple times, or maybe I did with PA. What is that?
PA, I think you got me wrong.
Okay, Perkins agent?
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I might have used that. Do you know what a
Yeah,
Perkins agent
no,
is?
actually, is that the person running the Perkins? I don't know. Is
All
that
right.
me?
Yeah, okay. So the undercover person, that's a UC.
Yes.
Okay. And then lastly, when the defense is showing you the photos on the screen right now, there's still some placards on the ground, so taken the night of the investigation, and obviously as you testified, the DVR is gone, so there's some articles on top of this shelf.
Yes.
But you testified that the defendant had told you about a new DVR, but that wasn't until a conversation back in May, the only time you talked to her in 2017.
That's correct.
Okay, and at that point she referenced some new DVR.
That's correct.
All right. And then finally, when we talk about the location of the DVR and someone finding it, as far as all of your investigation, this isn't the entry point into the house to commit the crime, is that right?
It's the exit point.
So it's the exit point in order to take the Porsche to leave the residence, is that right?
Correct.
So the person had to have gotten the keys to the Porsche that were somewhere that that person could easily find the keys.
Correct.
Do you have any evidence, or was it ever told you that the keys were in some obscure location where, did anyone ever tell you they were kept in some obscure location that somebody couldn't find?
I was told by Marcel and Vernon that the keys were located in the kitchen drawer that had blood on it, that came back to Baker's DNA.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further on the fence?
In fact, the location of the keys was told by Monica Sementilli to the first officers on the scene, where Fabio Sementilli usually left his keys, right?
Probably so. She knew where they were, apparently. Yes.
Pardon?
If she told them that, it wouldn't surprise me. She knows where they are.
Right. She would know where Fabio Sementilli left his keys, right?
Yeah, but the point was Baker wouldn't know.
Oh,
That was
okay.
the-
But anyone going from the backyard into the kitchen could see the keys right on the top there, right?
I believe they were in the drawer.
And you believe they were in the drawer?
I thought they were in the drawer, but I could be wrong. I thought they were in the drawer.
Somebody would be more accurate than you.
It would be, yes. I'm recalling from hearing it from that. So, yes, I would, if you have testimony saying otherwise from, like Detective Vernon, then you'll say this.
Okay. And one last thing you don't know what's on top of that cabinet in the photograph we showed you,
I
right?
don't think anybody knows what's on there, no.
Well, you had 20 officers on the scene that night, correct?
I didn't know, but,
LAPD did, right?
there's one thing we know for sure. We know it's not the DVR.
Okay.
That's the one thing we do know. So what else is?
Because you were told.
I gotta tell you, let me interrupt. Detective Gable?
Yes.
When someone says objection,
Oh, I'm sorry. My hearing's bad, so I'm sorry. I have really bad tinnitus. I should have told you earlier.
thanks. All right. Next time there's going to be an objection, loudly.
Thank you, sorry. I don't even hear it.
I understand.
Miss Sementilli was interviewed the night of the incident, correct?
I believe it was the night of.
And you didn't even review her interview report? Or
I told you. I'm sorry.
It is.
Okay.
Anything? No. Then you said Gable, you're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
May I call your next witness? So, that's it for today. That's the short story. A couple things I want to tell you. We're going to be in adjournment until tomorrow, Monday, at 9 a.m. The first thing is, as always, the admonition. You're not to discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else or form or express any opinions or the cause is fine submitted to you. Next, I didn't make this up. You can check me out. You can Google this when you're done, what I'm about to say. Tomorrow is National Margarita Day. I did not make it up. But we are all good Americans. Let's honor the holiday. Have a good weekend. I'll see you Monday.